Hi, my name is Rachel, and you're watching the Rachelistic channel. Welcome back to another episode of NeuroSpicy Stories with Rachel. So this is a series where I share stories of my life that made more sense when I learned that I'm neurodivergent, more specifically autistic and ADHD. My goal for sharing these stories is to increase awareness of neurodiversity. I hope that by sharing these stories, people will think a little bit more before judging others for acting differently from themselves. Maybe they'll remember one of my stories and think, oh, Rachel did this thing differently because she's autistic. Maybe this person is doing this thing differently because they're neurodivergent as well. Really, I just want people to remember that everyone has different brains, that neurodiversity is a thing. And now it's time for NeuroSpicy Stories with Rachel, the part of the show when Rachel comes out and shares a NeuroSpicy story. So this is a story of when I didn't get asked to the dance. So this story, before I even start the story, I just want to say this, every time I think of this story, I'm filled with so much cringe that it just makes me annoyed with myself. So yes. So this story takes place in Ontario, Canada in 2014 when I was 15 and in grade 9. All right. So when I was in grade 9, I will admit I was a bit boy crazy. It was probably because I was in high school, like it was my first year being in high school. So, there's like a bunch more people, a lot more boys in particular. So honestly, like I found a lot of boys cute in grade 9. But there was one boy in particular that I had quite the crush on. We're gonna call him Jonas. All right. So Jonas was in my geography class. And I remember like the first day of geography class, I saw him walk in and I was like, oh, that guy's cute. I remember thinking that he was cute from the moment I saw him. And so at some point in that semester, my teacher like switched our seats around and I ended up sitting next to him, but not like directly next to him, but like, so like we were all like at least like tables with like two people. So I was sitting with my friend at a table, like together, and then the table next to me, he was sitting with his friend, I guess. So we were next to each other, but not at the same table, just at the ends of our tables next to each other. When he was sitting like at the table next to me, this one time he asked me for paper, for like a sheet of lined paper, and I didn't hear him like properly the first time. Like I didn't process what he had said, so I was just kind of just staring at him. That was an awkward moment for me. We were just like staring at each other like awkwardly for like a few seconds, and then he asked again for paper and I was like, oh yes, here. I gave him a piece of paper. And like that was a really embarrassing moment for me. But then after that, he kept asking me for paper every day, or if not paper, then a pencil or an eraser or something, like every single day. Because the way that the high school I went to, it worked, you had the same classes every day for like that semester, and then the next semester you would get different classes, and those classes were every day. So I was seeing him every single day in geography class, and every single day in geography class he was asking me for either paper or a pencil or eraser or something, but he was always asking me for something every single day. Mostly it was paper though. In the moment, I didn't understand why he didn't just buy paper for himself. After a while, I realized that he was probably asking me for paper every day just as an excuse to talk to me. So yes, but I didn't realize that at the time, and I was like didn't understand why he wouldn't just get his own paper. But I also like prepared because I knew that he was gonna ask me for paper every day. So like I literally like made sure to like that I had enough paper in my binder like for geography class, because I'm like, oh, Jonas is gonna ask me for paper, so gotta make sure I have enough paper. But honestly, like, I wasn't annoyed about him asking me for paper every day because I had a crush on him. So I'm like, sure, here's paper. I'll get you all the paper in the world. So that was a thing that we had going on. He would ask me for paper every day and I would gladly give him paper. It's very like a high school movie, I feel. So my high school had a dance called the semi-formal, and it usually happened in the spring. And semi-formal is what it sounds like. It's just a dance where you dress semi-formally. So this dance is coming up, right? And it was happening on a Friday night. So like I already knew that I most likely was not going to go because it was on a Friday night. Just like a quick explanation. So basically, like, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. I still am Seventh-day Adventist. That basically like what you need to understand about that is that we go to church on Saturdays and like we observe like the Sabbath. So like it starts from sunset on Friday and ends on sunset on Saturday. So typically, if you know, well, not typically, but during that time period of the Sabbath, so sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday, you know, we don't do things that are not like church related or Bible related or things like that. So like going to a school dance is not really something that is encouraged to do. So I wasn't really expecting to go because of that. And like, I don't know, I didn't really mind that much because like I was never that into going to dances anyways. So I did go to a dance at the high school before. It was just for like the grade 9s. They called it Niner night, and it was like on a school night, and there was like a dance at the end of it, and I was just like not into it at all. So I wasn't really that fussed about not going to a dance. I never really wanted to go anyways. It was just not really my thing. So like, yeah. So I wasn't too like fussed about not going to a dance, but like if people like would ask me like, "Oh, are you going to this dance?" or like my friends, for example, like, "Oh, are you going?" or like, "Are you gonna go?" Like, it was always hard for me to explain like why. I guess, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I could have just said, "Oh, I don't really want to go to I don't really care to go to a high school dance," and they probably would have like understood that better than me trying to explain the Sabbath. That was one thing that I found very difficult to do in high school. And well, just growing up anyways, like to like explain to my friends why I can't do certain things on a Friday night or during like a Saturday. So a lot of the times I would just say like, I don't know, or just give like some really vague answer so that people would like stop asking questions. I didn't have to like explain why I wasn't going. Yeah, that is an important thing to understand about this story, is that I would typically give like a very vague answer if someone asked me like if I was going to this dance, because I didn't want to explain the whole reason behind it. So during that semester, I had gym or PE or whatever you want to call it. I had that class right before lunch. So I had a routine, right, for like after gym class, you know, I would change out of my gym clothes, put back on my regular clothes, go to my locker, put my, you know, gym clothes or whatever in my locker, grab my lunch, and go sit with my friends. Like, that was my thing. That's what I would do. Like, every single day after gym, like, that's what I would do. That was my routine. That is an important thing to remember. So sometimes when I would come out of the changing room to go up to my locker, sometimes I would see Jonas there, like, not just standing outside the changing room, but like he would be coming out of his classroom that was on the like same floor. So like sometimes I would see him there, like walking out of his classroom with his friends or whatever. But like, I don't know, like we would never like interact or anything like that. Like I just see him and I just go up to my locker or whatever, continue on with my routine. So now we're getting to the meat of the story, okay? So it was getting close to this semi-formal dance. You know, I had already established that I was not going to this dance in myself anyways. And so, you know, it's after gym. I'm heading out of the change room, and who do I see? I see Jonas. Jonas is like, he's like standing outside of his classroom, and he's like talking with a friend, and like they're both like looking at me. As soon as I come out, they both like look at me, and they're like talking or whatever, and then he starts to walk over to me, and I'm like, oh, this is new. Yeah, because he like literally would never talk to me outside of class. So the fact that he came over to talk to me was weird. And I was like, this is outside of the normal routine. This is not how things usually go. It was weird. Okay. So he comes over, he starts talking to me, and like we start walking and talking, right? So I don't even remember everything that he was saying. Probably like, what did you have? Did you have gym? Something? I don't know. Just like some basic small talk, right? And I'm in my head, I'm like, why is this guy talking to me? Like, he never talks to me. So we're walking, and he asks, oh, are you going to the semi-formal? And I'm like, ugh. So I said, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's what's happened. I'm pretty sure that's what I said. Because to that answer, he's like, oh, why? I remember he asked me why, and I was like, I don't know, because I didn't want to explain why about the whole Sabbath and everything. I just didn't want to explain that, so I was like, I don't know, and kind of just trailed off. So as we're having this conversation, like this is like a very quick conversation, like all of this happens pretty fast, right? So as he's asking me, are you going to semi-formal? I'm like, I don't think so. He's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. So while this is all happening, right, we are walking up the stairs because my locker was on the second level and we were on the first level. Okay. So we're walking up the stairs as this is happening, and once we get to the second level, so like there's like more stairs to go up to the third level. And so there's like other people obviously around us because it's like, you know, it's after class, the bell has rung, it's lunch, so people are going all over the place. So me being my autistic self, I am like in my head, like I have my routine to go to my locker. Like I'm set on going to my locker. So we get to the second floor, in my head, I'm like, okay, it's time to go to my locker. So I step back to like let some other people go in front of me who are continuing to go up the stairs so that when like there's space, I can go off on the second floor to go towards my locker. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. So as I'm editing this video, I realized that I explained the whole stairs situation wrong. So I will put up a picture of like what the stairs kind of look like at my school. And so as we were coming up the stairs, so like I said, my locker was on the second floor, right? And so I actually just like went off on the second floor, and I guess he didn't realize that I walked away, and so he actually went around and kept going up the stairs, like as you see in the picture. So that's what happened. Yeah, okay. Back to the video. And so I assumed that Jonas was following me, like, or like noticed that I was not continuing to go up the stairs, but apparently he didn't. And so he was continuing to go up. I had stepped back and went off to my locker, and he wasn't following me. So I was like, oh, I guess that's the end of the conversation. And I was like, that was a really weird moment. Like, I was like, I was like really like shook up. Like, I don't even know if that's the right word, but like it was like a disruption to my routine. So like I felt really like weird. about it afterwards. I'm like, that was really weird that he was like randomly talking to me. Yeah, it like totally threw me off. But I just didn't understand. Like I had no idea why he would randomly talk to me and ask me about if I'm going to semi-formal. Like it just didn't make any sense to me at all. I was like, why did he randomly talk to me? Like and then just walk off like that. I know. I was thinking that, right? I was like, why did he randomly talk to me? Like that was so weird. It literally threw me off for the entire day. It was so weird. And so after lunch, right? This story is not done, my friends. After lunch, I had a class with the friend that he was talking to, like right before he came to talk to me. And this his friend was giving me some really weird looks in that class. And I'm like, why is she looking at me like that? Like, I just felt, I'm like, did I do something wrong? Like, I don't understand what was going on. Like, he was just randomly talking to me. And then I went to my locker and then he wasn't there anymore. And I don't know why this person's giving me weird looks. And I was just so confused the entire day. And I didn't understand what was going on. Like, I didn't catch on to any of it. I was just focused on going to my locker and I didn't catch any of like the social cues or anything that was happening. So I was just super confused for the rest of the day. And then what makes things worse is that after that, right? Like this is the part that really gets me. Actually, it's not even the worst part. It's not even the worst part of the story. But but this part, it really gets me though, because I had made sure, like, I had literally bought a whole new pack of lined paper because I expected Jonas to ask me for paper every single day, right? After that day when he talked to me randomly and I didn't understand what was going on, he stopped asking me for paper. And I was very annoyed about that because I was like, I literally bought this whole new pack of paper and now he decides to stop asking me. And I was like, does this have something to do with that day? Like, I'm so confused. Still, I was very confused. I had no idea about what was going on. Okay. And so, the dance comes and goes. Grade 9 ends. I still think about this day periodically and I'm like, I still don't understand what happened. I still do not understand what happened, right? We're going to fast forward like 2 years later. So I'm in grade 11 at this point. I'm in grade 11. My family has moved to California. It's 2016. I'm 17 years old. My family has moved to California. I'm going to high school in California now. So this one day, it was after school, like I was just with my mom in the car, and I was just randomly thinking about that day when Jonas randomly talked to me, and I was like, that was such a weird day. And I was thinking about it, and it was like, all of a sudden, something just clicked in my brain, like literally 2 years later. It took me 2 years for it to click in my brain about what actually happened on that day. So I realized the reason why Jonas was asking me for paper every day was an excuse to talk to me because he most likely also had a crush on me. And when he randomly came and talked to me when asking me about if I'm going to the dance, it was his attempt, or he was trying to kind of set himself up to ask me to go to the dance with him. Yeah. But of course, me being my autistic self, I did not realize that. I didn't pick up on the subtleties. I didn't read between the lines of the conversation, and I just completely missed it altogether. And I and I and I literally walked away from him when he was trying to have a conversation with me. So yes. And so I remember staying in the car and I realized that and I was like, oh, that sucks. Cause like it's 2 years later now. I'm living in a different country. I can't just be like, I can't just randomly find him on social media and be like, hey, I just realized that you tried to ask me to the dance 2 years ago. I cannot do that. So yeah, I was like, oh, I feel bad for him now. Anytime I think about the story now, I just feel bad for him because I'm like, oh, yeah, if I hadn't realized what was happening, I would have probably stayed walking up the stairs with him to wherever he was going, I guess. And I mean, it's not like I would have gone to the dance, but at least, I don't know, I would have known that he liked me too. And I don't know, it would have been nice to know at 15 years old that the guy I liked me too. Basically, I let that experience be a learning lesson for me in that, you know, if people start having a conversation with you, you shouldn't like just go and like walk away or like be so focused on your routine or like something that you're doing because like they probably have more to say. So, you know, just like it's okay to like not stick to your routine if somebody wants to talk to you about something. So yeah, that's what I've learned from that. The thing that really gets me about the story is the fact that it literally took me 2 years to realize that this boy is trying to ask me to the dance. So that is the story of how I did not get asked to the dance because I walked away mid-conversation. Yeah. So at the end of these stories, I like to just go over the neurodivergent traits of this that I showed in the story so that, you know, if you see these things in anyone and someone else, you can remember that it's probably a neurodivergent thing and they're not just being intentionally rude. I mean, they might, but they also might not. And that's important to keep in mind. The autism traits that I showed in this story is one, routines and insistence on sameness. So I was very much stuck in my routine of going to my locker after gym class. Yeah, I was very set on following that routine, which made me not really realize what was happening around me and also and was what kind of made me like walk away from the conversation because I was just really set on following my routine and I wasn't really paying attention to things going on around me. And the other trait that I showed that I want to highlight anyways is like not picking up on subtleties or like subtle social cues. So obviously when Jonas was asking me if I was going to the dance, he was, you know, trying to steer the conversation so that he could ask me to the dance, but I didn't pick up on that subtlety. I was just confused, like, why is he asking me if I'm going to the dance? Like, that's such a random thing to bring up. So I wasn't able to like read between the lines of the conversation. So that is everything I have to say for this video, for this story. I hope that you enjoyed the story because I for sure felt cringy. I didn't really feel cringy, but like this story it just frustrates me so much because it's like, I wish I could just go back in time and be like, Rachel, just keep walking up those stairs. Don't go to your locker just for one day. You don't have to go. You can just keep walking up those stairs and you can finish listening to what this guy had to say. Because honestly, I want to know what he had to say. I want to know like how he would have asked me to the dance also. But that's besides the point. Hopefully it was entertaining for you. So anyways, that brings us to the end of this video. If you liked it, then please hit the like button so I know to keep making these storytime videos. If you have anything that you'd like to say, then please comment it down below. It's always nice seeing your comments and seeing the things you guys have to say. Finally, if you enjoy watching my videos, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when I post my next video. So, as always, stay Rachelistic or whatever your name is istic, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.